Joining us now to talk about something that she has gone through is Ruthie Blum, a columnist, author of To Hell in a Handbasket, Carter, Obama, and the Arab Spring. Hello, Ruthie. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, especially now that I solved the problem.
I know you solved the problem. Facebook has relented and has apologized, but let's tell the folks what has happened. First of all, you write an online column, a pro-Israel column, correct?
I write a column for the English language website of the most popular Israeli newspaper called Israel Hayom, which means Israel Today. It's israelhayom.com. I write op-ed pieces twice a week. I have been doing so for a long time. And about nearly 3 months ago, I started, one day I went to post one of my columns, and Facebook wouldn't let me post, and it wouldn't let me sign in even. And a warning signal popped up saying that there was inappropriate material on my page and that I should watch it. And for 24 hours, I was banned from Facebook, and that I had to agree to that. I had to click on something that said, I agree to these terms. So I agreed to it. I didn't understand. I waited 24 hours, and then things proceeded as normal until the next time it happened, and the next time. So at this point, I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand what columns. I searched my page. I read Facebook's rules of conduct. Facebook claims that you may not use hate speech or pornography or threaten to do self-harm. There's a whole list. Now, the only thing that I could think of that was on my page that might be problematic for anybody is that I'm a conservative columnist. I write anti-Obama columns, very factual ones, by the way. It just happens to be my opinion. Very pro-Israel columns, very anti-Arab Spring columns. That was my book, was about how the Arab Spring is not an Arab Spring at all. And I couldn't figure out anything other than politics what the problem was, unless it was spam. And so I tried very hard. I changed my settings on Facebook, and I tried to contact Facebook on more than one occasion. There's a little box that says you can leave your comments, and nobody got back to me. And then on Friday, I finally wrote about it. I said, what I realized was that wasn't that Facebook was doing this on purpose to me. Facebook doesn't care about me. Facebook has billions of users. They don't pay attention. But what they do is listen if somebody complains about you. And somebody must have been targeting me and complaining about me regularly. And instead of checking or letting me defend myself, Facebook kept threatening to block me. And the last time it happened, it was for 3 days. And so, but once I wrote about it, suddenly it was interesting because the whole web went crazy. People were commenting that it's been happening to them, and that there are horrible sites on Facebook, Nazi sites, jihadi sites, and they're left alone.
Right.
And then, you write a column that defends Israel, and you're warned that there's incendiary material on your page.
Well, this may be a new tactic of the left to silence people like you and others who put conservative, pro-Israel views on their Facebook page, etc. But you did get a note from Facebook finally.
I did. Now, it's not finally. It happened immediately. Immediately upon publication.
Right, but I mean, finally
in
the context of the ongoing saga.
Life, yes.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it had to be done this way. I mean, I would have liked it had Facebook answered me when I tried to reach Facebook before. But now what happened was it was so popular, this column, because this has been happening to many, many people, and conservatives in particular. Okay, this isn't new to us. We see what's going on. And as you said, it's the left or it's jihadis. The fact is you don't know who's doing it. But you can get a good idea. In any case, the issue is not who's doing that. There are always going to be people out to get you. That's not the point. The point is that I was put on the defensive when, in fact, the person who was abusing Facebook rules was the person who was stalking me and trying to prevent me from publishing things.
Right.
So Facebook immediately. Now, what happened was the column went practically viral when it went on Drudge. The New York Observer picked it up. Then it got picked up by Drudge, and many, many, many people told me that these things had happened to them. They want to organize a blackout on Facebook. Conservatives all over the place were telling me that. And I immediately got an email from the head of marketing at Facebook apologizing profusely. And then later in the day, I got a standard kind of official Facebook apology. And so I wrote a follow-up column, and I quoted those apologies.
Right.
And listen, I think it's a wonderful thing. As I also wrote, the power of the pen. It's just a shame that somebody who isn't. I happen to be a writer by profession, and I have a venue for my articles. But what about all the people who don't?
Absolutely. And it appears that there's really, Ruthie, there's really no defense against it, and that's something that Facebook is going to have to figure out, and remedy before other people are victimized the way you and many, many others have been. Great story, terrible story, but with a good ending. And again, hopefully Facebook will try to figure out some way to make sure it doesn't keep happening. I thank you for your time. Just tell everybody real quick where they could read your stuff.
They can read my stuff on Israel Hayom. IsraelHayom.com.
Okay. Ruthie Blum.